Hey, film fans, we're the Merco Movie Guys. I'm Clint Chaffer, and this is my buddy Chad Weeks.
And we're a couple guys who like movies and like to talk about movies. Clint, what are we going to talk about tonight?
We are going to be talking to the folks that created the Farmer's Daughter movie.
Yeah, tell them. So we're going to be talking to Tara, Kylie, and Scott, the production team, the film team, and the farmer's daughter herself. So should be a good podcast. What can you tell them real quick where they can find the farmer's daughter?
Yeah, you can go watch this right now on Amazon Prime. I think it's for rent for like $2.99, and it is well worth the watch. So before you watch this podcast, I would say hit pause, go to Amazon Prime, watch the movie, and then come back and listen to our interview here.
Yeah, and if you're not sold on watching it by now, then you certainly will be by the end of the podcast, because it's really good. And again, we're the Merco Movie Guys, and Mercer County, like, this is right up their alley. We talk about it a couple times in the podcast, and like it's perfect. It's perfect for this environment.
This is shot in Illinois, right? So I mean, Tara's farm is outside of Champaign, and again, this is like small town rural America here. So it's an awesome story to go watch.
You see some University of Illinois hoodies and one unsightly Green Bay Packers jersey. So
so anyway, grab your popcorn,
fill up your drinks,
and enjoy the show. All right. Well, we would like to welcome Scott, Tara, and Kylie to the show. Thank you all for taking time out of your very busy schedule right now. How about we go around, have you each introduce yourself and what your role in this movie was. So how about Kylie, or Scott? How about we start with you?
All right, Scot England. I am the guy that came up with this idea for our movie, and Tara and I were co-anchors at WAND TV in Decatur for a few years. And I wanted to do this project for a long time, but I knew it'd take a lot of time and money. Didn't have either one, but finally decided to bite the bullet and do it. I kind of directed it along with Kylie and wrote everything, and Tara drove the tractor.
Yeah, that's right. I'm Tara Barrett-Duzan. I had no involvement in the creative effort. I just had to show up and be myself. So my job was, I say easy, but actually it was kind of hard to have people following you around and talking about yourself and your life.
Oh, we can totally imagine.
Kylie Daniel.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Kylie Daniel here. You're good. Half Moon Digital is my video business that I run. Scott reached out to me a couple years ago, and he said, "Hey, I've got a project, and I think you're the guy." And here we are, 2 years later. We finally got one put together.
Very cool.
And the movie that we're talking about is, of course, The Farmer's Daughter. And for anybody, any of our listeners out there, go out to Amazon. You can end up searching
Prime.
it on Amazon, and you can rent it. Amazon Prime. You can rent it out there and watch it. Definitely an amazing film to go out there and watch. So I'd urge all of our listeners to go out there and give that a watch. So, Scott, I gotta start. Oh, go ahead, Jed.
No, I was just going to say that this is a perfect film for like our area, because once again, like I was talking earlier, we're in a very similar demographic, very small towns, farm community. Clint and I both work in the agriculture business, and I actually heard about this through WRMJ. Well, my mom heard it for me and sent me a message like, "Hey, they're doing this movie, and you guys need to check it out." So our very small radio station in Aledo, Illinois, it was doing a piece on this or something to that effect. And so that's how I heard about this. My mom sent me a screenshot of it and sent it to Clint and I. and so that's how it all came about. It's just kind of wild the way that all transitions. But
Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
We'll have to hire
Yeah.
your mom to be our publicist. That's fantastic.
Literally, I kid you not, Scott. Just today, because I'm running for a town position here as well, and she said something online, and I said I should hire you as my publicist. I said that today. So yeah, we're both gonna be competing for her services.
That's what it takes.
Yep. Go ahead,
Well,
Clint. Sorry.
yeah, no, Scott, I would love to start with you on just, you said that, this was kind of your idea. It sounds like you and Tara have worked together before. So how long ago did you think of this? And then kind of what was the kind of the process here to get this thing going?
It was actually all Tara's idea.
Yeah.
She wanted to be in the spotlight.
That's right.
Not really, just kidding. And we are a big budget. We spend all our money on the film, but we've only got 2 mics here. So poor folks, we got to do what we got to do. Tara and I were co-anchors of the morning show on WAND for a few years, and loved her. And she left TV to help her dad on the farm. And at that time, I thought this is really unique because no female anchor that I know would leave TV to do that. And for sure, no male anchor would because they're not tough enough. And then her dad passed away and she became the farmer. She had to take over the farm. And I thought, wow, this is a really amazing story. And I would like to tell it. And that was about 6 or 7 years ago. I got the idea. I really got the idea. I would come up from Nashville, where I live, just to visit with Tara. And she's always so busy. I could never catch her. Couldn't go out to lunch or anything. She'd say, no, I'm in the field. I'm in the field. And I said, well, I'll just hop into combine or the tractor and ride around with you for a little while so we could visit. And so we did that one year. This is like 3 or 4 years ago. And at the time, she was going right by where her dad and her brother are buried. They're buried right next to the field that she was in. And at that moment, I said, I need to tell this story. And so that's where I came up with it. We started filming. I found Kylie. He was my photographer at WAND for a number of years. We had not been in touch for a decade. After he left WAND, he became an amazing filmmaker, just does amazing stuff. And so we started filming it 2 years ago. We filmed for an entire year. I'd come up from Nashville and supervise. He'd go when I couldn't go. And then he edited the whole thing. I wrote it all, had to log thousands of hours of video that he shot. And then I wrote it all. And then he edited it all over the last year. And so that's basically the process.
Wow.
It's crazy how that vision came to you there. Like it sounds like it was that one moment, and you can kind of feel that in the film too. When it's a very powerful scene when you see Tara pull up to the cemetery there and you do your yearly picture or whatever, and it's like, that is incredible that it just all works out that way, and it's almost like they can witness you farming, and I'm sure that's a very powerful moment for everyone, and I'm glad that you got to experience that, Scott, and see this into fruition. Very cool.
Yeah, it's a very personal movie. It's not an hour and a half of watching corn grow. It's her story, it's her life, heartache, a lot of heartache, a lot of times make you cry. I've watched this film over 150 times. We had a showing here in Kylie's hometown, had a packed house at the movie theater. We just got back, and I was up in the balcony and I cried after watching 150 times. So it's a very personal story.
Clint sent me a text message.
Yeah,
go ahead.
That's what I was going to say, Chad. Is so just for reference here, Tara. So I live about 5 miles away from my family farm. So my mom and dad, they farm about 1,200 acres, corn, soybeans here, and so I sent Chad a message and I put, "I'm not crying, you're crying," because this pulled tears out of me, and it was very touching. Your story is absolutely incredible, and just a lot of the decisions that you've had to make over the past decade have just been, I mean, it really pulled through in this film. I mean, that was incredible, and I think folks that, especially folks that understand the hardship of farming, also know just all the other aspects that that go into farming, all the other stressors, let alone everything else that that you've had to deal with as well.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you said that. That was a concern for me when he wanted to do this. I thought, if you're not my friends or family and you don't know me, do you care to watch it? I mean, is it interesting to you? And I had some people tell me that it is about you, but I think so many people can relate because they're going to feel like, yeah, I've been through that too, or, I lost my grandfather, or, just small town. And I think most small farmers want to keep it in their family. So I think, I hope a lot of people can relate to it. So, and I'm glad you could too.
Yeah, absolutely. There was one part that I want to bring up, and I have found myself thinking of this as well, and going through this, but it was interesting. I loved the comment of, you know, you'd been in the combine, you'd been in the tractor, you'd scoop grain bins, right? It was all these tasks on the farm you were very familiar with, and you knew how to do them. And the thing that probably resonated with me the most was when you said, it's all the work I don't see that it is. I mean, it seems like a mountain to climb, right? And I would love to just hear your thoughts of just how did you navigate that, right? Of just all of those selling commodities, dealing with bills, right? Those things that you probably didn't see your dad do on a day-to-day basis, that all of a sudden it's like, here you go, Tara. You gotta do it all now, right?
Right. And those are things that probably a lot of people don't talk about when they talk about farming. I remember my dad saying, here, go pick up all these rocks in the field and I got to go be in the office all day. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, you got to go be in the office. Like, what do you do in the office all the time? We would joke about it. And I figured out real quick, he was serious. He was doing a lot of work in the office. I thought he was just putting off on, the work nobody wants to do off on me. But yeah, I guess it was very overwhelming, but I try to just take things one thing at a time. And I knew it was going to take time to learn everything. And I think in farming, you really don't always learn everything, or you're always learning something new, or a new way to, even like with my marketing, I had no idea what I was doing, but I have friends that are well versed in that I would call for advice. And I think just even over the past almost 7 years that my dad's been gone, I've gotten better every year. Or you think you're getting better. Last year didn't do so good. This year I felt like I did a lot better. And it's probably like that for everyone. You just live and learn, I guess. And sometimes it hurts when you live and learn in farming.
Yeah.
Farming is a risky business, so every decision seems like a big one because it can affect you. So I think I leaned on a lot of people, my dad's friends, my friends. Thankfully, I have a lot of farming friends that were always willing to give me advice. So I wasn't afraid to ask questions, since that was my prior job, asking people questions. And um, I don't know, I tried to not get too overwhelmed, even though it's very easy to do. Like right after my dad passed away, there was just so much. I mean, talk about paperwork, just things I had to do. I would just make a list, check them off as I went, all while we're getting the equipment ready for harvest and also learning how to run that equipment. I'd never ran the combine before. So thankfully he had good relationships with Sloan's and Atwood. And, one of their guys came and spent all week with me going through the combine. And then I would read through the book. And that was always one thing my dad said was, if you don't know how to do something or you're having a problem, go to the book first, because every phone call to John Deere is going to cost you. So I'd always try to figure it out for myself first.
Yeah, I could tell by the usage of said book and all the flipping through it and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So I have a question about the that overwhelming feeling, but I feel like first let's introduce Kylie, because I think it's going to be kind of directed
Yeah.
at him. So Kylie,
Yeah.
what was your role in this?
So my role was to ride with Tara in the tractor and have the camera set up, fly the drone, get all the microphones set up, the audio, and then after we got everything captured, Scott sent me a stack of a script about that thick to edit. And so for about all of 2024, I spent my time editing the movie. Yeah.
A lot of slick meat sandwiches in that combine, then I assume.
Yeah.
So my question, and I don't, maybe it's not directed at Kylie, but my question is, like, there was a moment in the film where you could feel Tara's anxiety building a little bit, and I don't mean to, but like you could see that was an overwhelming point in the film, and you were feeling it. You said you were feeling it, but it was really portrayed. So how did that come about? Was that organic, or was that something you were kind of looking for, or how did that all come about? And anyone can answer. I'm just curious, because it was a pretty pivotal moment, because you could actually transfer that, and you can see what it's like at the end of the season. It's all fun and games when you first start harvest, but by the end of it, I'm ready to be done.
I think it was really organic. I know the whole time Scott, he kept saying, we need some drama for this movie, you guys. We got to get some dramatic things happening, which nothing was staged or anything. It's just the account of us being there, and it's all genuine. And Tara's really, she's working her job, and every day things come up, and if you're there capturing it, you're going to get that on film too.
Yeah. Very cool.
And I think some of the best moments were probably when I didn't even realize or think about that they were recording, because that was a moment where I was just like taking a break, getting a drink, and it was like, it's like we're at the end of the season. It's just, you're tired and just thinking about what you still have yet to do. And then, it doesn't end with harvest. There's still several things to do in the field after harvest. So just, you're always thinking ahead.
That scene that you mentioned, it's one of my favorites in the movie, because in just a split second it turns. She's talking to her son on the phone, and he's eating whipped cream, and she's kind of laughing about it, and the viewer is kind of laughing about it. And then it turns just in a second, and you can tell that she's getting stressed out and worn out, and her son is getting stressed out from her not being there. And it's those two emotions right there. It makes that scene really great. And it was, totally organic. That's what was going on at the time.
Well, one more thing that I think added to that, and I don't want to put words or thoughts into your mouth, Tara, but like, I feel like at one point you almost apologized for it. You're like, I shouldn't be, I'm just driving. It's just like driving around, it's like I shouldn't be tired and whatever. And it's like you're apologizing for the fact that you're worn out after a really long harvest. And it's a human thing, but it also speaks to your character. Like, I know I shouldn't be complaining. I know I shouldn't be this way, but the fact of the matter is I'm tired. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that, like, a glimpse into your own personality and reality of the whole thing. So I really, really enjoyed that part.
Yeah, well, I guess I say that because you think, oh, you're just sitting on your butt all day. What would you be tired from, But,
Yep.
But you are.
Yeah.
It's mental probably more than physically.
That's exactly right.
And that's the other thing I was going to bring up when you were talking about like getting the equipment, ready, working with your dealer there as well, right? And it was interesting because there's a difference of, having that equipment already set up. I think of like on our operation, if I show up to run the combine, it's already set. I don't have to think about it. I just jump in and I run it, right?
Yeah.
And I can go burn a few hours and away I go, right? And I thought that was really interesting of like, again, that's that difference of being a driver and now all of a sudden being that full operator, right? Now you're making those adjustments. It's on your shoulders to do all of that in every step of the way, right? I thought the sprayer aspect too. I always say I've done about everything on the farm, but I've never operated a sprayer, and I commend you on that, right? That's a beast of a machine to get out there and operate.
Yeah, and in part of the film, when my dad was in a lot of pain and wanted me to spray that last field, and I was like, are you crazy? I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I can't do this, because it is very intimidating. So Um, Thankfully, he'd always made me get my spray license. Just, I held the chemical to him. So if you're handling chemical, you need it anyways. So I was used to taking the test. So that did give me some background knowledge. So I'm glad he did that for me. But yeah, it's much different. That's how I was with my dad. It's like I'd show up and hop in my truck. All I had to worry about is make sure it's fueled up and check the oil, and easy day.
Building off that and the mental stress of that, like I don't think a lot of the viewers are going to understand that with like those chemicals and stuff like that. One little slip up and you can cost yourself a whole crop if you don't have the right chemicals, or you make a mistake there, some little slip, which that's a very stressful time in itself. Totally. I think that one will be missed by a lot of people too. So.
Yeah. And when I first started spraying, if you're familiar with dicamba, that's what we were spraying at the time. And so that was you had to be very careful, and that was even more stressful. But yeah,
exactly.
I get what you're saying.
I wanted to mention that, but I didn't want to bring that topic up because, that's kind of a touchy subject for me right now.
Yeah. So it's in the past now.
Yeah. There you go.
So I do want to jump over. I want to ask a couple questions about actually shooting the film. And so one of the things, I've been on a whole bunch of different farm shoots for different little videos and things of that nature. And I don't care how small it is, it's still difficult to shoot farm scenes, to be around the equipment, dust, heat, rain. I can imagine just everything, Kylie, that you had to put thought into each and every day. What was some of the most difficult aspects of shooting an entire season across a farming operation?
I think one of the biggest challenges is you're constantly around a machinery that's usually pretty noisy. And so the audio was one of my biggest hangups, trying to capture those conversations that we're having, especially ones that were outside and kind of more off the cuff. They weren't necessarily scripted interviews. That was a challenge, but thankfully I think I had the right gear, and you can do a little cleaning up in post, which I've done before. So that definitely helped. You didn't ask this, but some of my favorite stuff to do whenever capturing farm equipment is the drone. Just getting the aerial shots of the combine in the field or the sprayer running around. It's just fun. It's easy to overshoot that kind of content because it's just so fun just to see all the different angles you can get with those little drones. And that's probably one of the parts I enjoyed the most.
I actually had that in my notes to compliment the drone work on this. Like every time that there was a drone shot, I'm like, man, like you captured it perfect. Like every shot on there was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's a couple in there.
Yeah, go ahead, Kylie.
And there was one day we went to one of Tara's daughter's baseball games, softball games, and it's in a rural area. And Kylie parked a little bit down the road. He got the drone, put it up in the air, shot for about an hour, put the drone down at his car. We got in the car and left, and nobody at that ball game knew that drone was ever there. You couldn't see it, you couldn't hear it, and he shot the shots he got. Just amazing. This whole film is all Kylie. It's one guy with one camera and one drone, and that's it.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Scott, because that was actually that was going to be my next question was how many cameras did you use? But it sounds like there was only a single camera used on this.
Yeah. So I use Sony cameras, and I have my Sony A7S Mark III. That's my main run and gunner. So that was the tool that I used for 99% of it. The rest was all with the drone, and then some of the interview shots where we have multiple angles, I had 2 cameras for those. But otherwise, yeah, it was all one camera.
Wow, that just for folks that haven't shot stuff like that before, one camera can be difficult, especially on editing and making it look as incredible as you did. So great job.
Thanks. It was a lot of work to make it look as good as it did. There's some scenes that took multiple days to just put together one little scene.
Yeah.
So we can. One of the other pieces
we can relate because it takes Clint multiple weeks to get our podcast put together too. So
the one benefit is Kylie, he never had to worry about keeping the other photographers out of the shot because there were no other photographers. He was it.
Yeah.
So easy.
So on Tara, from your side of it, here you are shooting I'm in a full feature movie here. That's a lot of time that you're dedicating to this in probably the most busy times of your season. So how did you handle just the trade-off of, hey, we're shooting this, but hey guys, I got to get farming done. So how did you kind of balance that time?
Well, they probably don't want to know what we talked about before when they would call and say, we're coming up this day. It's like, gosh, well, okay. Yeah, because it's just kind of like, all right, get in, get out, let's go. We don't have time to stop. Especially during harvest, it's like, I feel like while planting, you're still busy. It's a little slower paced. I feel like harvests were really going. Like, I don't even like to stop a lot to get out, So, yeah, I mean, it really wasn't that difficult. They kind of took care of themselves and did their own thing. And during harvest, they would just get in and out. I mean, you didn't stop us. All the interviews we did kind of more on downtime days. So, because I wouldn't have stopped to do an interview during, you're either riding with me or you'll have to get it another day. So
I'm glad you made the trip, but I'm not stopping the combine.
Yeah.
So you kind of talked about it a little bit, the community. It sounded like they were supportive. You got a lot of interviews with like local farmers and things like that. Sounds like they were supportive, and you were worried about the kind of the judgment of the community. And I know that can be, especially in small towns, it can go one way or the other. How do you feel like it's maintained? Is there are things staying positive all the way, or are you getting some slack for being the woman coming in, or how is that being accepted, I guess?
I mean, just fine. I don't know why I was so worried. I guess when I was the first field I got into with the combine for the very first time, one of the guys from John Deere was there helping me and guiding me. And he's like, oh, don't leave your corner like that. They'll be talking about that at the coffee shop. And I was like, what? Like, everyone sits around and drinks coffee and talks about everybody. But so that's, that was in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, they're going to be driving by my fields, really checking them out to make sure, like, see what I did wrong, or, I don't know. Maybe I worried about it. I am a worrier. So maybe I worried about it too much. Because everyone's been super supportive. I even had people that would call and check in on me, see if I needed anything, had any questions, made sure that I was, do you know that you have to get down to the FSA office and report your planting acres? And, they would make sure I wasn't missing anything. So I think I was worried about nothing. I am very appreciative of everyone in my community, and everyone's been way more supportive than I could even dream of, really.
Yeah, it sounds like a quote that I heard one of my first times in a buddy seat of a combine. It was actually, he had some neighbor farmers coming in to help him finish up that field before, it was dark by now. And I heard over the radio, people helping people. And it's like, that is so true. And that's what it takes. So perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I know, Tara, if it's, if your farm's like ours, the only mistakes that I make are right next to the highway where my neighbors can't see them. So I don't think I've ever made a mistake in the back 40, but that 80-acre field that's right next to the Seaton-Keysburg Highway, that's where all the mistakes happen. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, even watching the film every time, I'm like, somebody had to spill all that corn there when they were dumping into the bin. I'm like, there's corn all over the ground. Like, it does. Like, it always happens and everybody sees it. So, but,
yes,
it's part of it.
Every time. I tell you what, I'll share this fun story. I was running a inline ripper one time in some soybean stubble, and of course the auto steering was going, so I'm kind of lollygagging around, probably playing on Twitter or something, right? And next thing you know, I just almost bring the tractor to a stop, and I look behind me, and the inline ripper is clear full of soybean stubble that had plugged up.
Oh.
And of course, That was right next to that road that I was just mentioning.
Yeah.
So there was this big. I mean, Dad had to bring the backhoe in to spread this out. That's how
Oh
big of a pile
boy.
this was. So
I
absolutely terrible, you know.
bet you
So
got in trouble. Hey, but you know what? That's going to teach you a lesson, right? I bet you don't do that
oh
again.
yeah,
Always, now you're
absolutely.
always looking behind.
Yeah, that was a little bit embarrassing, but
Yeah.
they were definitely talking about that at the coffee shop
Yeah, I
anyway.
bet they
So,
were.
but well,
So
one of the other. Oh, go ahead, Jed.
no, I got some fun questions that I can save till the end. So go ahead.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, I did want to hit one thing that was incredibly touching to me, and that I wanted to talk about, and I think this happens a lot in farming in general, is sentimental value tied to different pieces of equipment. And
Mhm.
I loved the story around your combine and the decisions that you had to make to whether I need to trade it, but I don't want to trade it. Right, a
Mhm.
lot of those different pieces, along with the financial decisions that you're also making along there. But the sentimental value, I think, is always underestimated on a farm. Everybody has like those few tractors that they've always in the back of the shed that they never want to get rid of. How do you look at your equipment and try disconnecting that sentimental value versus when you need to make that decision?
Yeah, that was a tough one. And that really, I keep saying if they had done this film any other year, there were so many, it would have been a different story. Like so many
Mhm.
things happened during that year that came together that really tied everything in. They were there when I was making those decisions to trade in the combine. Yeah, and my dad was the same way. We get attached to things. Like you said, a lot of farmers are that way. Equipment has meaning attached to it.
Yeah.
And that was probably the biggest thing I struggled with the decision. Like, yes, the money, but at the same time, it was like, oh, that was my dad's combine, and that's what I learned on. But I would think of my dad like my dad was very much a businessman. So while sentimental, we have to be business minded. And it just wasn't smart to keep putting money into that combine. So I just thought, what would my dad do? And he would have traded it in. So that helped.
Well, I think that was really neat to be able to capture that in this movie. Like you said, I think there was a lot of things that ended up kind of all coming together, right, in those different decisions. And then I would be remiss if I said I didn't have a tear in my eye with the seat conversion to your office chair. That is incredible. I never would have even thought of something like that, and that was incredible.
Yeah, what a surprise. Like I never who thinks about I didn't even know they would do that for one. Like we take that seat out of the combine, but they did, and it's my office chair, and that even made like it was the right decision, and that makes me feel good that I have that seat.
the the
That
the
is so
first time
cool.
that I saw that guy that I can't remember what his name was that actually had the idea and got the chair and all that stuff. The first time I saw him on camera, I'm like, I like this guy. Like you've got a feeling like it's like I like this guy, and then he does that. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's why.
Uh, I did not like him.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I did not like him, because Tara said, "Take a look at what this guy did. He gave me this seat, and it was in her office." And then so we filmed her talking about it, and I said, "Man, we need to get this guy on." And we call him. He blows us off. He doesn't want to do it. And then we call him next time I come up from Nashville, and he sets it up, and he cancels on us. And it's like, man, I don't ask people 3 times. I'm not doing it. And so on the last, I think that was the last thing that we ever shot,
Mhm.
was he agreed to come in to talk about him giving her that seat. And
His wife talked him
and
into
he's
it.
he's glad now that he saw the finished product and what a important part of the movie it is. And it touches everybody just like that. But he did not want to be on camera at all, but finally talked him into it, and it paid off.
And
It's
we
truly
ran
Seems
into
shocking.
that.
natural.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Terry.
Ooh, we ran into that a lot in a small town. Nobody
That's what I
wanted to
was
be on
gonna say.
camera. You go to the fertilizer plant, and everybody has going to lunch when they're coming over. So we had one guy that took one for the team, and he said he would do it. So, but yeah, a lot of people didn't.
Man, we went to the fertilizer plant. Tara had already called him and told him what was going on. we were coming. And when we walked in with our movie camera, they scattered like it was a 60 minutes expose on Monsanto coming to town. And it's like, man, we got to have somebody talk to us. But finally got one guy to agree to it.
Yeah, I was going to say it's truly shocking that you got this many people to do this, because typically of any farm community or whatever, like like your husband was doing on the phone there.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't want to do that. I don't need to be there. It's like just
Yeah.
you do your thing.
Yeah.
So I'm impressed that you got this many.
So, Scott, I was going to say too that you had one of my favorite comedic reliefs in this film with your comment around the Nashville one finger wave versus Tara's one finger wave, and I chuckled quite a bit, probably more than I should have, but I got a lot of chuckle out of that one.
Everybody laughs over that line. They laugh over it, and it's true. And they also laugh about her grandma. Her grandma has a couple lines, and the people they laugh their heads off. Her grandma is so funny. Maybe we ought to do just a comedy movie on her grandma.
Just follow her
first
around
line
for a year.
about your grandpa when she was like, "Yeah, he's no good." No, I'm just kidding. It was just such a funny way that
And I
she
think,
delivered
as I looked at the movie, I think it's that moment when she says that people figure out, hey, this is not a documentary like I thought it was going to be. I thought there's going to be a boring watching corn grow. But I think it's at that moment when she makes them laugh that they think, hey, this is something worth watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk about that a little bit. You guys you're in this process now. You were at a film festival today. What is the future of this film and the future stops, whatever?
Well, we're kind of in the middle of doing a marketing push to get people to watch it. Like you said, we're on Amazon. We're hoping to get on Tubi this summer, so we'll do another big push around that time whenever that goes live. But yeah, it's just been a blast to get it to this stage and finally get it in front of people and guys like you. We've never met. I just so appreciative that you guys even took the time to watch the film and like it's just been heartwarming to see people's reactions to it.
And when Amazon Prime Video picked it up, we knew right there it was something special, because these days they don't do that much with independent films, and they don't with farm documentaries. But when they said it was good enough for them to have it on, we knew it was something great. $2.99 to rent it on Amazon Prime Video, and we get half of the money.
Oh, wow.
So you think $1.50, and they've got 200 million Amazon Prime subscribers. I would just take 1 million of that 200 million. That'd be great.
Is there Scott, I'm glad you
ahead,
mentioned that just from that side of it. You talked about just the financing around this and making a film, which making a film, I don't care if it's a 20-minute film or an hour and 20-minute film, they're expensive to make. Talk to me about just some of the finances that you had to secure, or is this self-financed? Did you get sponsors? Like, how did you end up funding this?
If I had it to do over again, I would get sponsors, but I did it all myself. And how I did that was I worked 4 full-time jobs at the same time. And one was at the Opryland Hotel in Nashville, where I lived. I was a bellman. So my day job, I write autobiographies for the country music artist. I've written a dozen books in 10 years. I own a country music newspaper. It's a full-time job. But I didn't have the money to pay Kylie what he's worth. And so I took a job as a bellman, and all the tips that I made, I would come and bring to Kylie for 2 years. And I still didn't pay him what he was worth, but he gave me a break. And so that's how we did it.
That is incredible.
Paid
That is
the
awesome.
bill ourselves, and I have really had no aspirations and no thinking that I was ever going to make a penny on it. I knew I was going to lose every bit that I gave. I just wanted to tell the story. I wanted people to see it. That was my goal, and it still is. But when Amazon Prime picked it up, I thought, man, might make some of that money back. It's not a bad idea either.
Yeah, there you go.
And here I thought it would be a 30-minute little piece that we were going to show at my high school. So that's what I thought was in store. But guess we're going different ways.
Yeah. Well,
Very-
and that's where I was highly impressed, right? Because like when I first heard of this, I honestly I was probably thinking like a 30-minute short on YouTube is what I was planning on going out and watching, right? And when Chad and I first started talking, and then to find out, I mean, you got to made a full feature film, and it was funny because at the end of that, I'm like, I I didn't feel like I sat there for an hour and 20 minutes, right? Like it's like I want to see more of your operation, Tara. Like,
Yeah.
I want this like a ongoing TV show, you know.
Yeah.
So
Oh gosh.
let's I want to see the next season, right? So it was fantastic to watch. Like I said, y'all just did such a great job of telling this story. Tara, your story just in general, I think, is a very unique one. But also very relatable to anybody with any agricultural ties. Just as you're watching that, it's just so many times where it's like, yep, that's what we do. Yep,
Yeah.
that's you know we see that all the time, right? And it was just so neat to see that that relatability there. And I also love the whole thought, and this is where I will promote folks watching this as well. Anytime that you can portray just the farmer's life in this sense for just general population, right? Folks aren't connected to farming as much as what they are and what they used to be, and I think it's great to tell stories like this. So thank you for making this.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sure.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, and a couple things there to build off of what Clint said. He said it's about relatable. I watched this with my wife, and I'm not going to drop your age here, but you kind of mentioned it in the film, and you're around Clint and I's age, and it's like Clint and I are the perfect people to interview her, like due to our demographic, our age and all that stuff. And she's like, and my wife, she's like, I feel like we know her, you know, like because you go to the cutting to the ball diamonds and stuff like that. That's been my life for a long time, you know, like I coached and all that stuff, and it's like it feels like you are part of our community type of thing. Like it really does. And so Clint's completely right. Relatability, and I really hope that like people in Mercer County really pick up on this too, because it's a story that needs to be heard. Very cool.
Well, good. Thank you.
Yeah. So I have some fun questions here. So I've got a couple that kind of one, that F350. You talk about sentimental value and stuff like that. Where did that F350 that super clean Ford come from? That was pulling like your seed wagon there for a while. It's like, wow, that is a beautiful truck that nobody's even acknowledging.
That actually came from New Jersey, I think. My husband found it online. He loves older trucks. And it wasn't terribly expensive. So, you know, someone drove it here, they delivered it, and we got it. And it was like, you know, there's not a lot of rust on it. So he was super excited. So we get it here, and if you're close enough, you can still see the lighter colored blue flames on it, which we did not know were on there. So we had a good laugh about that when we first got it. But yeah, he loves that truck. I don't know if I love it. It does, you know, like sometimes it doesn't always start. That seems to be a theme on the farm. And it's kind of frustrating when you're in a hurry. And then, you know, I call him and I'm like, why isn't it starting? It's like, well, you know, get the pry bar from the back, and because you can't just open the hood, and you know, and then you have to put some pliers on this and then turn the key. I'm like, this is ridiculous. We just need to turn the key and be able to take off, you know. So
you say ridiculous, and I just hear character, Tara.
Oh,
That's what I'm hearing.
But when you have so much character on the farm, like when everything has character, you're like, can we have something that just doesn't have character? No, he loves the truck. It is a nice truck.
Yeah, 20 years ago, Clint had a red version of a very similar truck. So, yeah,
sure did.
Another question, and this is so the farmer's daughter shirt, which I mean, like, so you guys didn't know about this, and you brought it out after, you saw the trailer for this film, right?
Yeah,
that's when the farmer's daughter shirt. Okay, go ahead.
I didn't know that was the title. We never, honestly, I really didn't even know what they were doing. They came and followed us, and, you know, they did other interviews, and it's like, okay, and people would ask me like, why are they here? What are they doing? I'm like, I guess they're making a documentary. I don't know. And then when I saw the trailer, I was like, wow, this is, I think, going to be more than I thought it was going to be. And I saw the title and I'm like, I have a shirt, like literally the only piece of clothing from my childhood that I have tucked away in a box. Wasn't sure if I could find it. Found it, has my name on the back. I'm like, that is just crazy to me. Why is that the one thing I have? And he named the movie that. Like, it just, so many strange things like that happened throughout the course of this. So it was pretty neat.
Almost fate.
So cool.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, the last fun, I was going to ask about your diabetic cat because that kind of, that was a fun little side trip we made there. I told my wife at the time, I'm like, could you imagine because we got 2 cats. I'm like, could you imagine having to deal with a diabetic cat? I've got a diabetic daughter. So like having to deal with a diabetic cat would be brutal. So I appreciate you for doing that because that's a lot of patience.
It's not too bad. I mean, he's part of the family, so it's just we've been doing it long enough that it's you should see our text message or the kids. It's a family conversation. Did you give the cat a shot? No. Did you give the cat a shot? Like, we got to figure out who was, like, when you stopped at home, did you give the cat a shot? Because we don't know when we're going to be home. Like, we talk about it a lot, but it always gets done. We got the kids trained to do it now too. So
he took it very well. I was impressed.
Hey, hold the mic. Hey, you guys are movie guys, I know, and
Absolutely.
you might not know this, but Tara and I were actually in another movie. Did you know that?
Let's hear about it.
Big movie, and it's right there. Matt Damon, The Informant.
Y'all were in that?
This would be like Matt Damon's least popular movie he ever made, and we are in it. I actually play myself in it, and Tara plays herself in it, and I got to spend about an hour with Matt Damon as we did our scene, and you'll have to watch The Informant to see if you'll hear me more than see me. And then Tara, she's in a number of scenes where she's playing a reporter, and we were in the Informant, and we still get residuals. I think our last one was like $4 from The Informant.
That's awesome.
And Kylie got this one at Goodwill for $2.99.
That's right.
So we won't get any residuals from that.
Spent 3/4 of your residual on the DVD right there.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
That's actually I actually really like that movie, by the way. So that's a fantastic story because that's the ADM story, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Watch it closely. You might miss me. Like, when I'm talking, it's not on me, and then you just see me for a second.
We're toward the end of the movie, like the last third, where he's in trouble with the law, and we're trying to interview him and stuff. And so that's where we're at. And I know we're running out of time here, but very quickly, how I got the role in The Informant. I was a news anchor at WAND, morning show anchor, and then Tara was reporter at the time. And so The Informant was coming to town. They needed reporters and anchors, and they were going to have our main anchor, Sean, at WAND. He's smooth and good looking and all that stuff. I was not. And they came, so he had the script and all that, and I was not involved at all. I couldn't have cared less because I wasn't involved. And they came to town a little early, and they caught me on the morning show. Now, this is from the 80s. This movie is where it's set, okay? Set in the 80s. And they see me on the morning show, and they say, that guy has got the hair from the 1980s. We want him instead of the other anchor. And so I got to play the main anchor, and they cut Sean out. But that's just the way it goes.
I love it. I love that.
And they didn't have to do anything.
So I didn't have to touch my hair or my wardrobe because I had the same wardrobe from the 80s. And that's how I got the part in the movie. I had the dated look they were looking for.
Hey, everything comes back in style, and it was just your turn to come back in style at that point in time, right? No.
Tara, I want to ask one more question. How long can you keep Colton out of that auger wagon?
Oh, he'll be running it next fall. I mean, someone said to me after the movie, they're like, he could run the auger wagon. It's okay. And I said, that's not really what, he wants to drive it from the farm to the field we're going to on the road. He wants to do the job. I'll let him run it in the field. That's fine. But, this was 2 years ago. He's 11 now. He can reach the pedals better. So yeah, it'll be fine.
I figured that was the case. I figured it was. So Clint, are we going to ask about their movies yet, or you got something else?
But no, I just have a quick question here, just from the with the farmer's daughter. Where can folks go to find more information? We talked
Good call.
about like Amazon Prime and whatnot, but if they want to, if is there another? Do you have a website or any social media that they can go out and follow?
Yeah, for sure. So through my company, Half Moon Digital, I've got a Facebook page where there's information. Scott's on Facebook too, that we're always posting things about the movie. We were up on IMDb. You can see all of our ratings and links to different ways to play it, which Amazon Prime is the main one right now. If you go to Amazon Prime to rent or buy and you do like it, we would love if you guys would like leave us a 5-star review and just type a few nice words in the review. That'd be awesome.
For sure.
Perfect. Well, Chad, go ahead and ask your movie question, and then we'll close her out.
All right. So here's something that we ask every one of our guests, and basically just in a void, I want each one of you to let me know in a void, what movie would you recommend to someone? If you were to walk out on the street and somebody said, "Hey, I need to watch a movie," what movie would you recommend? And don't care who goes first.
You want me to go first? Okay. I've got one that just came to mind because they're just bringing it back to IMAX for the first time and restoring it at HD. It's a Studio Ghibli animated film called Princess Mononoke, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with any of those at all. They're kind of a little Japanese animated cult classic, but this one is extra special. It's one of my favorite films from when I was younger, and they brought it back to like 4K Ultra HD, and they're putting it in IMAX this weekend. So
nice.
Very cool.
Nice.
And no, I have not heard of that one, but I knew you were going to come up with something that I hadn't heard of. So I'm excited to hear your recommendation, and I'll check it out.
You will not be excited to hear my recommendation. I don't know. I was like, wow. I was going to say I'm a big into the 80s and 90s movies. So I was going to say like, Steel Magnolias, something classic, just, heartfelt.
Oh, that's perfect.
Or The Farmer's Daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, The Farmer's Daughter. Exactly. Yeah. The Steel Magnolia is a great film. So for sure.
Farmer's Daughter, absolutely. And my favorite movie of all time, probably Field of Dreams. I can watch that a million times. So, yeah, that's my favorite. So.
Yeah, I believe that. You can almost feel that in this film a little bit too. Have you been to the Field of Dreams?
I haven't. That's a place I want to go, though. I will sometime.
It is magical, man. It is definitely worth the trip to Dyersville there. Mm-hmm. So. Well, with that, we appreciate you all jumping on and, again, taking time out of your very busy schedule. We wish you the absolute best of luck with promoting The Farmer's Daughter. Chad and I will be sharing this through all of our circles and urging folks to go out there and watch it. So thanks again for jumping on the show.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Chad and Clint, you guys are great at what you do, and you watch the movie, first of all. That's half the battle, and then you take notes and know your favorite scenes, and you can tell you've done your homework. That's a sign of respect, and I appreciate that, and we appreciate you talking to us today.
Yeah, you take time out of your day to come talk to us, so we're gonna show you that respect. So we appreciate it. It reciprocates.
Thank you.
Well, with that, the credits are rolling.
Lights are coming on.
All right.
And that's the end of the show.